Hi there, I'm Majestyk, and this is the Apatros review. Now, before I go on with this review, I should point out that this and the next two reviews are actually the last three reviews for the 2021 season. So, and I'm doing them on the first day of 2022. So just to let you know. Anyway. Now, in this episode we take a look at a Charles Bronson classic, a film that was actually released a few days before Death Wish. Now, this film actually premiered in UK. Actually, it as well premiered in London in UK on the 6th of June 1974, then was released in US on the 17th of July 1974, and then it had its general release in UK on the 21st of July 1974, and then, just to let you know, in Yugoslavia in 1977. The film is this, Mr. Majestyk. That's the Australian DVD from MGM. And this film was directed by Richard Fleischer and written by Elmore Leonard, famous writer. Now it stars Charles Bronson, Al Lettieri, Linda Crystal, Lee Purcell, and Paul Koslow. Now the DVD, this is a Region 4 DVD from MGM. This was released actually as a part of a box set of Charles Bronson films. The Charles Bronson action movie pack. And this is actually the first one I've reviewed from that box set. The other ones I'll review sometime, hopefully later this year. And this actually, MGM had a habit of the early 2000s of releasing films that only had like a trailer and the multiple audio tracks and stuff. I'll explain more about that later on. Anyway. Now, made and released right around the same time as the seminal 1970s action classic Death Wish, Mr. Majestyk, which actually the spelling of the title alternates. It's either this with a K or as majestic as in the word majestic, for those who cannot handle the original spelling. Now this is a 1974 Proto-Actioner, so basically an early generation action movie made before the action genre came around, that has become legendary for its classic Bronson action, and those legendary stunts that Bronson pulled off of a Ford Ute, or as the Americans call it, that kind of thing, a pickup truck, that was notable for the fact that the Ute was never modified in any way. It was simply a standard box stock vehicle. And the stunts led Ford to use clips from this film in their commercials for this vehicle to demonstrate how tough they make their vehicles. So the fans of Ford pickups will know about this film already. Old Ford pickups. Now, good old Charles Bronson plays a former Vietnam vet named Vince Majestyk, which, by the way, is kind of strange since Bronson's way too old to convincingly play a Vietnam vet. A more appropriate conflict would be the Korean War. Who is now living as the owner of a 160-acre watermelon farm. And by the way, the real owner of that 160-acre melon farm was originally offered $3,500 for use of his farm here, but when he learned about this being a big budget production with famous actors in it, he managed to get plenty more, about $10,000 in total. Funny how keeping an ear on the local gossip can reap you some sweet rewards. Anyway, Mr. Majestyk gets a run with a young wannabe gangster who clearly doesn't have the skills to become an effective standover man, as he clearly doesn't pay attention to what's going on, and might talk the talk but simply cannot walk the walk. After Majestyk teaches him a lesson by ramming the stupid kid in the balls of his own shotgun, after he tried to force Majestyk to use his own sponsored crew instead of his own choice of helping Mexican migrants get a job, the kid tries to get his own back by filing an assault charge at local police. While being escorted to the local jail on the police bus, Majestyk gets a lucky break when the bus is attacked by hoods trying to rescue one of the other prisoners, notorious hitman Frank Render, a guy who murdered 7 people with a gun, hit another one with a crowbar, and tossed another one off a roof, to use his own words. Majestyk finally gets a chance to prove himself by taking control of the bus and putting Frank Render under his own custody. But right before he can deliver an already fuming Render to the police in return for having his assault charge dropped, Render escapes. Now the police decide to give Majestyk a chance by using him as bait, as Render swears to kill him someday in the following week. Now it is a weighing game between Majestyk and Render, with Majestyk's new girlfriend and the stupid hood kid as unwilling participants, but Render makes a critical mistake of royally pissing Majestyk off by massacring his crop of watermelons. Now things get personal, and Majestyk sends an emotion a plan to defeat Render by using his combat skills they learned in Korea, Vietnam, since the movie mentions it, even though it's kind of stupid given his age. Director Richard Fleischer does a pretty solid job handling the rather inventive Elmore Leonard penned script, and the actors hold up their end well. From Ground Chuck the human hand grenade himself, to people like Al Lettieri, who proves them up for the challenge adversary, to even the bit players like Linda Crystal as Majestyk's new girlfriend and farm foreman, and Lee Purcell as Render's gun mole, and Paul Kozlov is a stupid wannabe hood who at least gets to learn his lessons without getting killed. Leonard seems sympathetic towards the secondary players despite them getting some grief, like the migrant farm worker who puts his life on the line by helping Majestyk, but pays for his chance by getting his legs broken. But at least he's still alive. And the highlight of the film is definitely the car chase where Bronson puts his trusty Ford pickup through its pace with some very impressive stunts. Now a little bit of trivia for Bronson fans. 1. On the first day of production, Bronson was angry because of a transport delay that threatened the shoot. He yelled at the director the following: "You know what this company needs? It needs a European first assistant and European crew." And by the way, Bronson actually, in the early 70s, was doing a lot of European films. The crew all heard this remark, and by the end of the day they threatened to quit. The director convinced them to stay, but they refused to speak to Bronson unless absolutely necessary. Later on in the shoot, Bronson told Fleischer, "I just don't understand it. Nobody calls me Charlie in this picture. They only call me Mr. Bronson." Now, the film had to be filmed in Colorado because Bronson wasn't going to be available for working time for the Californian melon season. And the film was released on the 17th of July 1974. Death Wish was released a week later. Imagine that for a 1970s Bronson fan. You get two classic Bronson films within a week of each other. Now, a little lesson for the people living in movie land. Never ever piss off a watermelon farmer by shooting the shit out of his melons. You'll simply get even by blowing off another melon. Yours. So Mr. Majestyk earns a B, 6 out of 10 on my grading ladder. This is one of the best Bronson films of the 1970s and a solid action thriller. Aside from some bloody shotgun squibs, there's no gore in this film, nor is there any nudity. And by the way, I figured the wood in the 1970s watermelon business was going to be competitive, but I had no idea it was that cutthroat. Now for the DVD. Released on Australian DVD by MGM DVD in 2004, it's part of the Charles Bronson DVD action pack of 5 classic Bronson films, but no Death Wish films in there despite the box set slipcase prominently featuring Charles Bronson and Death Wish for the Crackdown. But kind of ironic, since Death Wish 4 was actually directed by Jelly Thompson, and the set actually has 3 of Bronson's 80s films that he did with Jelly Thompson. Interesting. Now, all of these DVDs are in individual DVD cases with separate covers. Mr. Majestyk is a pretty bare bones DVD package. The film looks very, very good with no damage and just the right degree of remastering done to it to make it acceptably presentable onto DVD. There's no issues with this 18-year-old DVD of a 48-year-old movie that would consider unacceptable. The soundtrack consists of 5 stereo tracks in English, Italian, French, German and Spanish, all 192 kilobytes and all sound good. There are 9 subtitle tracks and absolutely no supplemental features, since that would push the price of the DVDs up a bit, although MGM has a reputation of releasing most of the DVDs without anything more than a trailer. And the menu uses a simple word-free icon navigation system from a sheer ease of use to just about any user. So it doesn't matter what language you speak or watch, you can navigate this one very easy. It's not like the icon system of those old Universal discs. This is like a much easier version. Okay, so that's it from Mr. Majestyk. Pretty much gets a B, 6 out of 10. It's a solid film. One of Bronson's best 1970s films. Now, actually, I originally thought that was a European film. I didn't know it was American. Anyway. And if you're a fan of Ford pickups, this film is definitely one for your collection. It's a good demo reel. Okay, hope you guys enjoyed that. Now, not too long left before I do the other 2 episodes for today, and so keep an eye out for that. Hope you guys are staying safe. Take it easy. That's it for this review. See ya.